Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. But who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer, coming to you from the palatial office suite that I call home, away from home. Today we're reacting to Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump is looking at an indictment. Before we get into Donald Trump, we are sponsored by no other than eSign.com. eSign.com is an effective way to remotely do business. Let's say you're down at Mar-a-Lago and you know you can't leave because you got a mob of cops waiting outside your door to execute an arrest warrant. And instead of going outside and doing whatever you're going to do, you need to execute some documents before you go turn yourself in. Well, you can have your lawyer and all the people that you are working with e-sign documents. So you just download the app. You get 3 free signatures a month. It's an effective way to do business. I use it all the time. I use it when a client can't come to the office, and so we remotely sign documents. It's just an easy way to do business. So go to eSign.com. It doesn't have to be retainer agreements. You can use it for anything. Power of attorney, any kind of business agreement, any kind of rental agreement, anything where you can't be in person, you can e-sign it, get business done quickly and remotely. So Donald Trump now, as everybody knows, is awaiting the news from the grand jury. Now let's talk a little bit about what a grand jury is. A grand jury is a charging instrument, basically. You know, a lot of times when anybody gets charged with a crime, they're either indicted or charged by criminal complaint. And either way, you have to be, it's got to be supported by probable cause, which is the lowest standard that there is. Just slightly more true than not true that a crime was committed and that the person that is in the complaint and are being charged committed that crime, okay? Now, a grand jury, and they just have to have a quorum. It doesn't have to be unanimous. And so in this case, there's a grand jury. Actually, there's a grand jury in New York, D.C., and Atlanta. And so Trump is now looking at getting indicted. But what are the crimes that he's looking at? Well, Alvin Bragg, who is the Manhattan District Attorney, is the one who's responsible for making these charges. There's 2 basic charges. The main crime that he's looking at is falsifying business records. So here's essentially what happened. Donald Trump has some relationship with Stormy Daniels, the porn star, right? And it's resurfacing around the time of an election. So it's like October of 2016, which is about a month away from the election. To make her go away and be quiet, in other words, pay her some hush money, and it's kind of extortion, really, I mean, when you think about it. And then she's represented by a guy that, Michael Avenatti, who is now in prison after ripping her off and everybody else off. But he's shaking down Donald Trump for $130,000. So rather than just pay them directly, so they have Michael Cohen, who at the time was Donald Trump's fixer, but his lawyer. Michael Cohen pays Stormy Daniels the $130,000 out of his own pocket. Actually, he borrowed the money to pay her. And then Donald Trump pays him back. But he pays Michael Cohen back in, I think, 5 installments or 4 or 5 installments of like $30,000 a piece, right? And then he deducts those and records those as legal fees. They're not legal fees. They're reimbursing for the money that he paid. That's the felony. And so Michael Cohen has been their star witness, right? You can't take his word for anything because, and they've said this, and that's their attack line. Mr. Costello, who is one of Trump's loyalists and lawyers, he has told the media yesterday, well, Michael Cohen is this, Michael Cohen is that, he's a convicted liar, he's a felon, he's a Trump hater, he'll do anything possible to get at Trump. The problem with that is that that's all well and good, and that's how I attack snitches, by the way, the same way. because they'll, like a rat. A rat will do anything to save his soul, right? But what Michael Cohen would be worthless to the government if he's not believed, right? And so the only way he's believed is if he's corroborated. And that means there's got to be documentary evidence or other witnesses to basically say what he said is true, and to basically verify, like the canceled checks. Okay, so those checks are for legal services. What was the legal work done? And if they can't produce any legal work that he did, that's a problem. That's an issue for Donald Trump. And as felonies go, it's a very, very, very low felony. But it's a felony nonetheless. So what is Trump's response to this? Trump's response to this, like every other thing, is he attacks the messenger. He attacks the person at hand. And even the Republicans are saying that that Bragg should go to jail for what he did. I think Rand Paul is out there saying that Bragg should go to jail for indicting a former president. Now, don't get me wrong. Indicting a former president is huge. It's never been done before. And so Bragg better have his shit together. And that's why one of the reasons it's taken so long, I would assume. And let's watch this. It's very salacious.
George Soros-funded Democrat Alvin Bragg is known as the worst DA in the country.
Okay, that first sentence is just amazing. I mean, that's just packed full of imagery, right? George Soros funded Democrat. Okay, so he can't be telling the truth. And then he's the worst DA in the country.
His soft on-crime policies have unleashed violent criminals on innocent citizens and turned New York City into a hellscape of crime, drugs, and chaos. However, Alvin Bragg's crimes against the people of New York may just be the tip of the iceberg.
Just a tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is like a hatchet job, right? It's like a like a political ad.
Before Bragg's election, it was revealed that Soros cut off $500,000 in funds to Bragg's campaign. It was reported that there were disturbing...
And this is not a political ad. So they don't have to... It's not during a campaign or anything like that. It's not put out by a campaign. So they don't have to meet the other standards. They don't have to cite where this information is coming from. They don't have to say, I support this message. It's just an ad.
Allegations leveled against Bragg by an unnamed woman. There was no investigation.
Disturbing allegations of what?
The victim's charges by the Manhattan DA's office, and Alvin Bragg is yet to be charged.
I'm the only thing standing between the American dream and total anarchy, madness, and chaos, and that's what it is. I'm representing you. I'm just here. Always remember, they are coming after me. Because I am fighting for you. That's what.
They're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. Here's the thing. Notice they didn't talk one iota about the facts of his case. Zero. And you're not going to hear anybody. When you heard Costello talk, he didn't talk one bit about any of the facts of the case. When you see Trump on the stump, he does not talk about the facts of his case. He doesn't talk about the payments that were made. He doesn't talk about the type of records that were filed for taxes. So, and I don't know if it's going to be more than just this hush payment that's part of this indictment, or if it's going to be more than that. Because if you remember, the Trump Organization itself was found guilty after Weitzelberg, his comptroller, pled guilty to falsifying to tax evasion, and there's like 15 counts, and the organization itself had to pay over $1 million. So I don't know if any of that's going to be included or not, but this is an issue for him. But that's not where his troubles end. Jack Smith, who is a former wartime prosecutor from The Hague, which means he's battle tested, he is looking into several different areas for Trump. One, he's looking at the retention of government documents, and in a way, who cares? In a sense, I mean, it is, but that is a potential case. He's also looking at the January 6th, and we just had several new convictions for Proud Boys that just happened. So he's looking at possible indictments in D.C. coming soon. He's also looking at indictments in Fulton County, which is, if you remember, Fonnie Willis, who is the prosecutor down there. You can't make this stuff up. She is possibly looking at a RICO because of the way all the coordinated efforts that were happening around the time of the election. And there's at least two recorded phone calls, one to the Secretary of State, and I can't remember who the other one was to, but the grand jury has listened to those, and you heard that the foreperson of the grand jury speak, and you can guess that they would all vote to indict. And so now, regardless of what you think of Trump, whether you're a Trump supporter, a Trump hater, a Trump agnostic, maybe you like his policies, but you don't really like him that much. Who fucking cares? This legal stuff is absolutely fascinating. I do think that he has just an insurmountable amount of legal troubles that are before him. I don't know how you'd sleep at night, honestly. And you can tell he's just so, all he does is Truth Social. I mean, he's on that constantly. But what issues are raised now that these issues are coming up? So you've got the issue of Secret Service, for example. So he's got Secret Service protection. How does that work if he's arrested? And I don't think he's going to necessarily get arrested. I think he's going to show up to the courthouse. He's going to go get his fingerprints done. He's going to go make his appearance in court, and then he's going to leave the court. He's not going to get arrested in the typical sense. But once they issue the indictment, it'll be sealed until he makes. Typically, it's sealed until he makes his appearance. But it raises. I mean, where would he do if he got prison time? Where would he do his prison time? And how would that work with Secret Service? Or would his Secret Service protection be revoked with the imposition of a felony? Those are questions that nobody knows the answer to quite yet. So, but now let's just keep in mind that Donald Trump has denied these allegations. He's denied, and you're presumed innocent. And so you have to make sure that, you have the presumption of innocence. You have the right to be. The government has the burden to prove the guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and they do that by presenting witnesses and evidence in open court. You have the right to cross-examine the witnesses and bring a defense for yourself. He can testify if he wants to. He doesn't have to testify. If he doesn't testify, nobody could comment on that. These are your basic trial rights. We go through these rights when somebody appears in court. It'll be interesting whether he testifies at a trial or not. Will be very, very interesting. I really, really doubt that any of his lawyers would allow him to testify. Because he's just a wild card. There's just so much there, and he's said so much. When you attack the credibility of someone that you've trusted for 10 years, remember, you trusted them at one point. You hired that person. That person was your confidant. That person was acting on your behalf. All the things that person did, they did for you. And so there's a double-edged sword there in really going after Michael Cohen. But Michael Cohen's word, like I said, can't be taken by itself. It has to be substantiated by corroborating evidence. It just does. So we'll continue to follow this. It'll be so interesting. And there was, Trump has asked, for protesters and, come out there. I think the prosecutions for the January 6th rioters have created a chilling effect on other people, protesting right now, because right now there are more journalists hanging outside the courthouse than there are protesters. So stay tuned. We'll keep following this. This is just chilling. I love legal drama. And you know what? I hope his lawyers kick some ass. I would love to see the way this would play out, legally speaking. But my guess is that they've been at this so long, and they've got everything buttoned up so well that that I think it's going to be a very, very difficult road for Mr. Trump to get over. So I'm Bruce Rivers. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for Patreon. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God.